Hello, my name is Sonia and this is video number 6 in my series, The Basics of Crochet. The last video talked about the single crochet. We learned how to make a single crochet, and today we're going to learn how to make a double crochet. And all of these stitches that I'm teaching you are basic stitches that you should know when you're learning how to crochet. So this is the abbreviation for double crochet. So if you are reading a pattern and you see the abbreviation DC, you would know that that stands for double crochet. And again, all of these abbreviations are US terms, so just remember that. So here is an example of double crochet that I made, a little swatch. We have 3 rows of double crochet. So as you can see, these stitches are taller than the single crochet stitches that we learned in the previous video. So to get started, today we are going to be using a G size hook, or this one happens to be 4.25 millimeter, but if your G hook, if you're using a G, is 4 millimeter, that's quite alright. And we're going to be using worsted weight yarn again in a light color. So to start off with, we have to make a chain, because as you remember, your chain is your foundation and you work off your foundation to make your project. So we're going to make our slip knot. Okay, we're ready to go. And again, slip knot, not too tight, not too loose on your hook. So we are going to work 10 double crochet, but to get started we need to work 12 chains. And I'll explain why when we're done. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we have our 12 chains, as you can see right there. Now to start the double crochet, you're going to need to do a yarn over first. Single crochet, you didn't have to do that, but with a double crochet, you do. So you're going to take your working yarn, go from the back up into the front. There's your yarn over. Next, you're going to need to skip some of these chain stitches. So you're going to skip 3 and work in the 4th chain. So here's chain number 1, chain number 2, chain number 3. Right here is chain number 4. So while your yarn is still around your hook, you're going to insert your hook in the 4th chain, like so. So you've got the 1, 2, 3, and because of the chain, it looks like 4 loops there. Then you're going to have to do a yarn over to begin the stitch. You're going to pull through these 2 guys like that. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to do another yarn over, pull through 2 loops like that, yarn over, pull through those 2, and you have completed 1 double crochet. Now you'll see here, these are your skipped chain 3 to get started. And these 3 stitches that were skipped are now going to count as your first double crochet. Now with some patterns, the skip chains will not count as a stitch, but for this little practice swatch that we're doing, it is going to count. So when we're done working this row and we're going to count to see if we have 10, we are going to count this. So we're going to work the second one just like the first, except we don't need to skip 3 chains. We're going to work right in the very next chain. So do your yarn over, back, around to the front. We're going to work right in this chain. So insert your hook. I'm going to do a yarn over, pull through these 2 guys right here. So you have your 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we've made our third double crochet because this is the first, second, third. So we're going to do the same thing. Yarn over, go right into the very next chain. See, I've already started my yarn over, pull through the 2, yarn over, 2, and 2. So now we have 4. So we're going to keep going. Insert through the chain, yarn over. Now if it's tricky, you can, certainly use your fingers to help guide it over. Yarn over. If you want to grab these to get them over. That makes it difficult for me because I'm not used to doing it like that, but whatever is easier for you to get started. And again, some of your stitches, because you're just learning, they might be a little fatter or a little thinner or tighter or looser, and that's just, with learning. And then you'll get your tension down and your stitches will look more even. So I just encourage you to practice and don't get discouraged if, you're like, oh, my stitches don't look perfect. That's okay, it just takes a little time. So we're just keep on going down the chain. We insert it right into the little V. And we are almost done. So we have 1, 2 left to go. So I've already started my yarn over, yarn over, yarn over, and then our last one, and then we will count them to see if we have 10. Because again, do a lot of counting in crochet. Because you want to make sure you have the right amount of stitches. So again, as I said before, it's important to read your work, know what you've done, so that you know that you did it right. And again, there's that little gap. You can just pull that gently closed. Okay, so we have completed our very first row of double crochet. So now we are going to count. Now, double crochet stitches are a little easier to count than single crochet because, as you notice, they're taller, so they're a lot more simple to count. So this would be the chain 3 that we skipped is stitch 1. This one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So as you can see, we have 10. And if you turn it over on its side, again, it looks like a row of chains. So that's another way to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we don't forget our skip chain 3 is 10. So to start the next row, row 2, and again, we're going to pretend that row 1 that we just completed, this will be our right side. So if you were making a project, this would be the right side. Just, to get you in practice, because you want to pay attention to right and wrong sides in your patterns. Alright, so to start the next row, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we need to turn our work, and again, all that is, flip it over, just like so, really simple. So this chain 3 is going to be our first stitch, okay? And as you can see, you turn there, it looks like the chain. We are not going to work in this stitch right here. You're going to skip that because you've already made a stitch with your chain 3. If you would work in the stitch, then you would have an extra one, and then you would have 11 stitches, and we want to have 10. So we're going to work in this guy right here. And as you can see, there's 1, number 2. We're going to work in number 2. So to start that row 2, we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook right in that second stitch. We're going to do a yarn over. My camera's being funky. Let's see if we can make it a little easier on your eyes. So yarn over, pull through. We've got our 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the 2, yarn over, pull through the 2. So we've now completed 2 stitches for row number 2. And we're going to keep going across for row 2. And I'll show you how to work in the last stitch because it'll be a little bit different because that, if you remember, is the skipped chain 3 that we did. And I'm encountering some yarn barf, as we like to call it. Sometimes the yarn gets all knotted up and, it's a drag. So just need to untangle it there. So yeah, sometimes those pull-out skeins aren't necessarily smooth sailing, as you can see right there. So after we fix that, we're going to keep going. Insert your hook, yarn over, yarn over, yarn over, yarn over for the next one, yarn over, 3 loops, 2 and 2. You're almost to our last stitch. And okay, so now we are at our last stitch. This is the chain 3 that we skipped. So we're going to yarn over like normal, and you're just going to work in the chain. So this is behind the chain, so you can either work like that, or you can turn it and just work in it like you were working in a chain. And you will make a double crochet in that last chain, just like so. So it doesn't really matter how you work in the chain, the last one, you know, as long as you work in it so you have the correct number of stitches. So we're going to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you're going to continue for row 3, chain 3, turn our work, flip it over. So this will be our right side. So we'll do our yarn over again. We're going to skip this guy here because we already have our first stitch here, the chain 3. So work in number 2. So that's number 2, number 3. And as you can see, you know, I'm a bit faster than, you know, someone that's just starting, and that's okay. I've been crocheting for quite a while, and you know, your speed will come. And as you practice these stitches, you'll also get more familiar with how they look. I can even sometimes go by feel, you know, because these are taller, so I don't even have to pay attention a lot when I'm doing it. I can watch TV or whatever and just know, but sometimes, you know, I don't pay that much attention, then I'm like, oops, I missed one. So you do want to pay a little bit of attention. So we're in our last stitch. I'm going to work behind the chain for this one. Sometimes you kind of just have to work your fingers, your fingernails in there to split apart the chain because it can get a little tight, and that's okay. Just as long as you work in it, you don't miss it, so you have your right number of stitches. So now you've completed row 3, and again we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you want, you can continue, you know, your rows up if you would like to get more practice. And I'm going to show you how to finish this off. I didn't go over this in the other one, and it's probably pretty self-explanatory, but in case you're not sure, like let's say that this was a big scarf that we made and we're done. To finish it off, what that means, or to cut the yarn, you just cut your yarn, and I like to just put my loop in there and then just pull that through, and then it's done. So that is how you make a double crochet. Thank you so much for watching.